of in terms of regrowing limbs, organs, tissues, and cells. So, Desi, over to you. We are all waiting with bated breath for this very important information. Thank you.
Okay, this is a little introduction into the what we call the organ cells, and we call this the sarcodes in classic homeopathy. This is the science of sarcodal homeopathy, dealing with the actual cells, thymus, adrenal, eye, ear, liver, spleen, kidney. These are all sarcode tissues of organ. And basically, this is where the life force is. The life force is inside the cell, and there's a communication through the body. There's a principle of in modern medicine of plasticity of cells, and this is used in the field of plastic surgery, whereas if they could take, like they took cells from my arm, you see, arm cells, and they took a piece of cell here. I had rhinoplasty, mine was getting huge and huge and bigger and bigger. So they took off my old nose and they put on the new nose. Okay. Now, so now these arm cells have now become nose cells. Gradually, the cells of my nose, the cells of the arm now that are on there, they gradually become more and more like the cells of the nose. And if we would have just taken one or two cells, it would have been very easy. We take more, it's a little more complicated. Now, why? Because the energy that is here is part of a communication. That all of a sudden these cells are in a different area and they're getting a different type of energy. Now, in modern, they don't think that there's any way that we can regrow cells. They believe that once you get a heart failure, a liver, etc., they don't believe that you could regrow cells. The liver is probably the closest thing. Modern medicine, medical doctors will think that the liver can be regrown to some extent, but they don't do anything about heart or kidney or brain.
Or stem cells.
Yeah, but stem cells are coming in all the time. Are capable of being regrown. Now we know different. We know that just like from when we're a small baby and we grow up, there's that energy. The cells that we've tapped into with our device and measured the organs, and we can help those cells to regrow. Another thing that they found, the number one way to help heart cells regrow for people who have heart damage is whole plant foods. Not eating meat. Sorry, but people who eat meat don't develop and regrow the heart cells that they do by just 1 month of whole plant foods. Whole plant foods, meaning getting the whole plant, mostly the fiber. That fiber is very, very key. And that fiber will feed the bowel bacteria. The bowel bacteria will make the hormones that it needs to be able to make the different tissues. So we now know that in order to regrow the tissues in the body, we need to do whole plant foods. It will maximize the body's ability to regrow tissue. Now, inside our system, as Rita's going to go to the other computer and show you, we have taken the energy of these different sarcodes, and you can apply them into the patient to help stimulate the regrowth of these cells. And it's a slow process. The body has to take the foods that you're eating, break them up, supply the proper nutrients, supply the proper hormones, enzymes, energy to get the cells to regrow. But it can happen. And this is called a sarcodal homeopathy. So, Rita, when do you want to go over to the other device?
Are there any questions to you?
I can get some questions. You can go get set up.
Did you give me the link there?
Hang on a second.
Hello, everybody. So I will try to point out all all the important points for organ treatment, organ renewal, organ growth, cleansing, and I will show you how you can, in the meantime, also look up in the matrix the highest items and how you can also do an organ retreat and an organ refresh also after the scanning is over in the test.
So if you can imagine driving your car and you drive the road and all of a sudden you get a flat tire. Well, it's nice to be able to find the nail that gave you the flat tire, but that does not rebuild the tire. You have to change the tire. Okay. So just knowing the cause of the organ failure uh, does not recreate or renew the organ. It's nice to know what the no-so might have been. That's the harmful factor, be it DDT or electromagnetic radiation, Teflon, synthetic drugs. Those are the nail in the tire. Well, you can use neuropathy to help treat that, but to regrow the tissue, to change the tire, to be able to, because the human body doesn't change tires. Take off a leg and put it back on. We have cells that are growing in the leg. We have cells growing in the liver, growing in the kidney, and we are regrowing these organs. Okay, that's the whole idea of the organ sarcodal treatment, and we're going to be stimulating that. So it isn't just about finding the nail; it's regrowing the tissue. So, any questions for me?
Nothing right at this stage, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, the proverbial nail on the head, because we've got to repair the cell first. We've got to repair the cell first before we try and regenerate the tissue, the organ, the limb.
Well, we got to take the nail out. You got to take the nail out of that tire, or you could. Whatever you do. And you also need to remember where that nail was so you don't drive on that road anymore. So, it's very important. The cause of disease is very, very important. But the cause of disease, knowing the cause of the disease does not fix the organ, does not fix the tire.
Correct. Exactly. So there's lots and lots of things going on. And I'm sure there's many practitioners that are listening in and that have also spoken to you, Desi, and in your own experience as well, because we know also that let's say a thyroid gets removed, someone's thyroid gets removed, or someone's gallbladder gets removed. All right. And then we work with our quantum software, with our devices, and we eat the whole plant foods. And in many instances, we found that, in fact, the organ is back there, because I know that the etheric part of the organ remains, but I'm starting to see
organs have been known to regrow with the proper diet, the proper exercise. And we find that it just doesn't happen to meat eaters, strangely enough. When people eat mostly plants, there's a magic about plants. The human beings, our whole digestive system, everything is matched for herbivore. We have the same type of teeth as a cow. We have the same type of we are really much more of an herbivore. If we had to go out and catch lunch, we had the dog and the cat and catch lunch, the human race would starve, because we're designed for picking. We are, designed for picking, plants and harvesting plants. We're not designed for catching mice in the field. So our bodies are designed for plants, and when we get plants, we get a lot more energy that helps to rebuild the tissue. Now, I'm not against meat eating, but if you're really, really sick and you have organs that are really bad, you want to switch to plant, to eating plants. There's plenty of protein, plenty of everything. You'll have to mix it. You can't eat one plant. God's given us many different things. We have to get variety in our diet. but that will help to rebuild the organs of the heart,
Yes.
the kidney, the back. I'm dealing with an injury in my back that I have to rebuild, and it's just much more, much easier for the body if we get plants.
And
Let me
Desi,
see
if we look at the superfood plant kingdom, if you like, and I'm talking about those that have all the essential amino acids, high concentration of the amino acids and amino acid building blocks. I'm referring to the spirulina, for example. Those foods have got the starting block protein, because protein is necessary for growth and development.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but actually our bodies don't absorb protein. Our digestive system absorbs amino acids, and we make protein.
Sure.
So it isn't about consuming protein; it's about consuming rich in amino acids, which the plants are. The spirulina, and these things, they're actually alive. They have a nutrient, life force. You take that celery and you cut it, and there's a life force. Those cells are still living. You see the carrot. There's a life force, and it's inside that those cells. Those cells still have an ability, and that life force is another nutrient, so which is very important. We get that in caviar. Oh, there's Rita.
Say, what are you saying in the caviar?
Well, caviar is, now that's not a plant, that's an animal, but it's a life force. It's an egg, you see, and it's got a strong life force in it.
So these people,
so this is another nutrient.
These people who have, let's say, cancer of the pancreas, cancer of the breast, cancer of the prostate. I mean, it's the same methodology that they all need to follow.
Yeah. Now, when we have a cancer, there's a whole different treatment that we do for cancer, and we can talk about that at a different time. But if there is a cancer of the thyroid, when we are giving the healthy stimulus of the organ systems, it will not feed the cancer. It feeds only healthy tissue. So we are giving the energy of the healthy tissue. So when you're doing this with the sarcodal system in our machine, you're never feeding a cancer.
No.
So sometimes people get afraid of that.
No, not
and they
at
think
all.
I don't want to do that because I'll be, feeding the cancer. No, it won't. You're feeding the healthy tissues,
And you're helping.
The cancer cells are different.
Yeah, true. But you're still trying to bring the life force back into that organ and the tissues and the cells.
Yep.
Whatever the disease reason is, or the injury.
Well, in modern medicine, the medical doctor is taught how to drug, how to cut, and how to treat symptoms first off, and then he tries to treat disease. But the majority of the funding is all around what synthetic drug he's going to give you.
Yeah.
And if the drugs fail, then what surgical technique? What's he going to cut to replace? His whole idea is that your body is stupid and the doctor is smart. So he's going to cut because your body doesn't know what to do. So he's cutting this tissue out or giving you a drug. And he doesn't realize, as we realize, that the body has this vast intelligence. Doctors, the chemical companies have no clue what a cell does in its incredible intricacies. We're just the tip of the iceberg and even basically understanding. And still today in modern medicine, they have no appreciation of life force at all. They have no appreciation. Schrodinger, the quantum physicist, said there's a neg entropy, something that fights against thermal decay and keeps us alive. This is that life force. And they don't even understand the concept of life force.
Desi,
Rita, are you getting on to the system?
This is
yes, I am trying.
It's a massive breakthrough, I think,
Okay.
from a quantum medicine perspective, this regenerative opportunity that it presents to the world. And, you know, many people are talking about, you know, quantum beds and this hospital doing that and this hospital doing that. I mean, how would you put what we have with our software in perspective, in a global perspective? I mean, it's over to you.
Well, because my training as an electrical engineer, my training as a quantum physicist has allowed me to really see a level that of this understanding and make this device now for 30 years. And the in alternative medicine, there's nothing like our device. There's a lot of people making sham copies, counterfeit that, and largely things that don't even work. But I have been able to take the laws of electronics and the laws of quantum physics and engineer an electrical that could do another device called the QQC, where we can measure electrical energy of the thyroid and the heart, the trivector signature, so that we understand more about the energy that needs to go in and to do all these things. So this is what I've been able to do. Now, as far as modern medicine goes, they're literally 100 years behind. They still believe that you can make in the laboratory a chemical compatible with the human body. The first day of medical school in my pharmacology class, Dr. Barnes got up and told the people, and told all of us, to use a synthetic anything is an insult to the body.
Yeah.
It's an insult to the body to use a synthetic anything, whether it's a synthetic vitamin C, a synthetic B6, a synthetic anything. The body knows that that is not of nature. It wasn't made in a plant, wasn't made in an animal. The body knows this. And then he said, okay, we're going to spend the rest of the semester learning how to insult the body. Because the only thing the only ammunition that they have is the synthetic drugs made in a laboratory. They have nothing else.
Yeah.
So they don't even have the basic idea of even understanding my conversation. They look at me like, you know, when I gave the lecture, 1996, I lectured in Singapore, and I showed, you know, the whole world. My machine talked about this. Okay, there were 8 review my paper and to ask me questions, and they were the panel, and there was 1,000 people in the audience, and these 8 doctors. And when they got done, the lady said, "This is so fascinating." She said, "Obviously, you're talking about the future of medicine." She says, she said, the doctors here on the panel, we have no experience in quantum physics and no experience in electronics at all. We don't even have enough experience to ask you an intelligent question. They couldn't even ask me an intelligent question. But on that panel was Luc Montagnier, who had won the Nobel Prize for finding the AIDS. He sat down and had dinner with me later. And I talked to him about the ideas of energy. Then he went home and started getting into it. He was divorced from modern medicine. They excluded him because all of a sudden he was talking this type of energy, and he wasn't talking chemistry. And the chemical companies didn't like that. So our system is just, and you and I, we had that one guy from where that was that he was asking us those questions. Remember that?
Yeah.
And my God, they have the most inane, you know, idea. You know, they can't even formulate the basic of understanding. Let me check for a minute. Talk to the audience a little bit here, Jane. Let me see if Rita's ready. Okay.
All
No,
right, sure.
that program doesn't want to start. I'm not ready. No, it's
So are we getting some questions here regarding nutrition? And just to recap on the nutrition space,
turn on yours, then I can maybe do it.
any food you want to talk about or recommend, if it's a whole food, that's what we're speaking about, be it spirulina, be it moringa, be it
I
celery.
will share screen, but yours is on, so it won't share.
Okay, I'll try turning mine on.
Jane, we are working on it. Sorry, but until Desi's same file account is open, I can.
I'm going to turn my system off and go over and try to help Rita here. Okay.
All right. And then Rita, if you could stop sharing so long so that we can have the screen back. There we go. Super. Thanks. So what I'm really saying about, we're talking whole foods, whether it's spirulina, moringa, celery, lettuce, or a beautiful peach. The whole food is going to create the whole organ within us. So it's not necessary to isolate different foods. Obviously, the more of a superfood, the higher the life force. What does the higher the life force means? The higher the neg entropy, and that means that the electrons are bound closer to the proton and the neutron, and the electron spin is very, very fast. The faster the electron spin, the higher the life force. So the superfoods have that much faster spin, just to put it into a perspective. So if you're going for, the ultimate in life force, you would go for the ultimate in the superfood. But having said that, any whole food is going to rebuild the organs. And this is very, very, very important. And, what I really love about Desi's presentations is they're so simplified. It's broken down into just really the simplest terms. And even though it's a very, expansive field, quantum medicine, she was saying that the doctors have no idea what she's talking about, but actually it's very simple, and it's where we are right now. And I think a lot of the therapists almost take it for granted, but it's good to sometimes just ground on this and know that we're dealing with and we're using the most powerful software on the planet. And, that, as Desi said, the rest of the world is hundreds of years behind, in fact. So, that's very, very important. And once you are consuming whole food, natural whole food, those foods have got an intelligence and they know what to do. And you can leave it to nature because it's nature made. And that's what I prefer. And my practice is based on nature made foods in terms of nutrition and in terms of healing and detoxification, because those natural foods, the natural foods are in the quantum spin already. They're in the QQC form that Desi's used for when she's loaded the products and nutrients onto the matrix. So when you're consuming something that's nature made, it is in the quantum spin already. The body recognizes it immediately and it gets to work to heal. So it gets back to Hippocrates. Our food is our medicine and our medicine is our food. And I think if we behold that and understand, on this level that Hippocrates was speaking to us on, it's the natural food, the nature-made food. And, that brings the life force in. So everything is about life force when it comes to us. And, we've talked before many times regarding the highest forms of food and nutrient. And the sun, the photons from the sun are the most powerful nutrients. And then those photons are encapsulated in a plant through photosynthesis. So that's the whole food that we are eating, encapsulated sunlight. And that has the highest life force after the sun. Of course, oxygen is a nutrient as well. And every breath we take, we're breathing in the nutrient. The nutrient also has a massive scavenging detoxification effect on the body too. So, most nutrients will also detoxify and heal and work with nature and work in the quantum field, and that's in the quantum space. And that's as simple as it gets. And And then for those of you who are listening who don't have actually quantum devices, the SAR code, the word SAR code, those SAR codes will, when the therapist chooses the SAR code, or the after the subconscious has already chosen it, and then we choose it on the panels, in that exact form, at the right voltage, for the right amount of time, for the right rectification out of 100, that particular body will receive that healing, specific, as a medicine, as a remedy for that specific person, for that specific limb, organ, tissue, or cell. So it's all done for us in the quantum field by the subconscious of the patient and the quantum software. So just to remind you all, this is the world's largest medical software platform available, and it's hundreds of years ahead of anything close to it. So we are pioneers in this. The listeners you're listening to, pioneer information. Professor Desi brought this device to us more than 25 years ago. I think there's about 37,000. There'll be more now. Devices sold around the world, and tens of thousands of assessments having been done without any at all significant risk at all. And that's quite powerful information too. And, that just shows you that it's working with nature, with the body, and with the subconscious of the person. And, there are no side effects. That's real quantum. That's real quantum medicine. So, that's just a really remarkable information. Well, yeah, I mean, there's in the discussion, there's talking about all sorts of things. Just as I think, as Crystal says there, I mean, raw food is best. Raw food doesn't have to be not combined with this or that, or combined with that or whatever. It becomes all scientific after that. It's medical scientific stuff. Go for the raw food, exactly as Crystal mentioned there, and you have a winner. You have a winning combination for your health. And the body's intelligence and the intelligence of the plant get going, and you can sit back. The magic happens. So, this is the most remarkable thing about working with nature. And we have a device that is in nature. It's in the quantum field. The software is. So, more than that, I'm not sure. We can't really top this at the moment. I suppose ultimately we would want to be the quantum software ourselves. If we could as humans, we do have the quantum software inside us anyway. The device is remarkable at starting to train us and teach us how to work with this magnificent quantum field that we're in, that we live in, that we exist in, that always has existed. So, very, very exciting. And, in terms of the regeneration that I've observed, one has to always...
Jane, you see the screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good.
We need to remove the cause and repair the cell, and then we'll get the regeneration. So it's always very, very important to repair and then regenerate. And repairing can mean removing of infection, removing of degenerative tissue, removing of scarring, removing of the oxidative free radicals. And I think Daisy's going to talk about stem cells a little bit later too. Are you ready, Rita?
Yes. But I'm still loading of things for the test. So feel free to share your information.
You're still testing. Okay, fine. No problem. So just see you sitting in the audience here. I think just give me some feedback so that I can make sure that those of you who are listening in are are getting all information, just remember no question is unimportant, because it just helps clarify for other people too. So if any of you have got any experiences as practitioners, please put it in the chat. We'd love to hear. But all too many times, that gallbladder starts functioning again. The thyroid starts functioning again. There's no question. I had a lady who actually had the thyroid removed, and it was picking up on the quantum that it was physically there. So amazing, amazing, amazing. We have this information. And I suppose that the opportunities are infinite for us. And what I really like about the quantum software is that you can never overdo it, because it will tell you immediately when you've rectified to 100 and it's time to move on. So there again, you have a nice protection calibration mechanism built in. Because of the quantum spin, once you've got the quantum spin going, there's no sense to carry on, because you can actually weaken what you're doing. So it's always maximized health. And so if you're treating the thyroid to restore the organ, it will tell you when it's enough for today. The subconscious will tell you it's enough for today, and then that's just remarkable feedback. So the stem cells are important, and Desi will allude to that for us. But just for clarification on stem cells, a stem cell is produced by the bone marrow, and also when the egg is fertilized, we get various stem cells, and those stem cells form together based on an energetic area of our body, for example, the heart or the liver or the lungs or the kidneys, and they will then morphogenesis, morph into that organ. And when the organ is diseased or there's pain in the organ or whatever, that organ will call the stem cells, which will then arrive via the blood system to that organ, and they will shapeshift into new cells and eventually form new tissue for that specific organ. So stem cells are very, very important for regrowth and development. We have those programs on the software as well to activate stem cell growth, and with the subconscious of the human body and the quantum software, it works out exactly which stem cells need to go where. So that's also really beautiful, and it's done for us. So it's best to use the stem cells that are on the quantum software, because they're in the QQC form. I would suggest also using plant-based adult stem cell activators, such as blue-green algae, raw jelly, lion's mane, medicinal mushrooms, cordyceps medicinal mushrooms, an adaptogen called FOTI. And these are our adult stem cell activators. They're more intelligent than us. They're more intelligent than any human. And they know which stem cells need to be formed in that particular time. So when we are working with regenerating organs after injury or disease, we definitely use one of the products that I have is Activa stem cells, and we've got the top 5 plant adult stem cell activators in there, which I've just mentioned to you. And then again, we sit back and we can make it happen. That is pure quantum natural medicine, straight out of the universal pharmacy. And what I'm saying is, validated by lots of research today. You just have to Google and you'll see. So I'm always in favor of the natural approach. There's other ways to make the stem cells. You can use reptilian stem cells. You can use animal stem cells. I prefer to use the plant-based and the quantum device software stem cells. How are you doing, Rita?
Good. I just put in sarcodes here, stem cells, individual reactions, and look, I just found that cytosine is a needed amino acid for DNA replication, and then we can actually treat that.
What is the subject? Who did you put in there?
The 365 Healthy by Choice group.
Thank you. So we've put the group in. Rita selected the group, and was it cytosine?
Yeah, but I came to the cytosine by first running the test, then I was searching for sarcodes on the right, and then I just put in stem cells, and this was the individual reaction.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna over to you now.
And when we actually treat this and we want to find out more, we can always go also in here, like here, and just stem cell reaction, stem cell connection. And from here we can also go to the risk profile, do the short sarcodes and the long sarcodes, and we can see where the machine is leading us from here. We can also use the DNA tingle and DNA treatment.
Very important.
But we can get started already in the matrix just by looking up the patient's individual reaction for stem cells, and if you choose the short sarcodes, then it will scan as detailed as possible for the person you are choosing. We can treat these, click on these items one by one, or we can also choose the treat all button. Here on the left, on the bottom, you also see like resentment, sadness, deficient of DNA regulation enzymes, threonine, hormonal and energy production. Later on, we can actually add these to our matrix or add these to the emotional growth panel where we can work on the mental factors emotion chart, and then we can make sure it is also reserved there in the system when we work forward in the NLP panel. You hear me, Jane?
Yeah, you perfectly. I just silenced so there wasn't extra noise.
So in this panel, we can actually move forward to all other panels, and this is a very powerful way to work the major reactions connection to this item what we just added into the system. We can also continue in the homotoxicology, and we can click on the red. This is the reaction, and we can choose the CNS, sensory nerves, brain, and we can also put in here stem cells,
That's a good idea.
Or like DNA.
Yeah, also good.
DNA recovery or DNA refresh, reboost. And we can read about chromosomes here. Look, chromosomal deletion of translocation, acquired cause, radiation. So we can actually work on all of that. Psychic attack, chemical reaction, toxic reaction. And in the meantime, we are also working here on DNA.
The chromosomes are very important because we need that correct human genome code to ultimately repair as well. You know, the cell needs it. It needs to have, often the damage is through radiation, microwave, EMF, and then the damage to the organ, the tissue, the cell is, as I said, you know, through those things. So we do need to definitely put in, you know, to restore the chromosomes. So that's really good, Rita. Thanks. But it actually gives it to us anyway, you know.
Yeah, this is a good way how to actually follow up with the machine, and the machine is actually leading you what to work on and what to select. Here we can, I will try to find it. There is also a very good maximum human potential. This is also a little mixture of DNA and genes.
Good.
Maximize the patient to the maximum human potential. And when we rectify this panel, we can actually also do the 3 top 5. And we can also do the SAR codes if we go back to the spinal. Time therapies or the SAR codes. We can check the original SAR code result. Test and treat. And from here we can also jump through the time therapies, and we can, if you don't have long time to work on a patient with the long SAR codes, you can actually balance the numbers here and also later on in the NLP panel. So this is all coming up for here. But we can also add anything what we like here also. It's a little bit similar than to the sports program. But all the red is coming from the unconscious selection of the patient. In this case, from the group. We can always work on trivector, mental focus. And if we click this button, this is very important, then after the session is done, then it will automatically switch into subspace, and the sign for it is a butterfly flashing.
That's for the long-term treatment, eh?
Yeah, if we click the long undefined therapy, then yes. We can add here from 1 to 40 minutes therapy, and you can see the rectification on the bottom, on the right side.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do it completely, just
No.
showing this because we don't have the time. But this is a faster way to actually go through the star code values. This is actually working on the highlighted unconscious reaction of the treated patient.
It's good to be at homeostasis again. It's good to be at homeostasis again.
What's that, Rita?
I don't know. I did not turn on anything.
Must be Desi.
No, Desi is not even here anymore. We can fix this here in the zone and then close.
Yep.
And we rectified the star codes profile here to 97. That's pretty good. And we can always go circulation, bones. What I would like to, I wanted to show also something. Yeah, here is the star code chart with all the reactions and the values. And here we have also some choices. Treat all over 100 or treat the top 3. And these are also, this is also a star code value map with chakras, organs.
Well, I think that the therapist, we should over the next month look at the people that are coming in and really focus on regrowth and validating it before and afterwards, and sharing our results. What do you think, Rita?
I did not say anything. I was listening to you.
I was just saying over the next month, the therapist could really focus on the regrowth of cells, tissues, organs. I don't know about limbs, but that's what I was hoping Desi would get to. The regrowth of limbs.
You would like me to tell her to come back, or?
I think we must talk about that, because that's what the medbed people are claiming, and I also want to know where they're coming from. What software they're using, and in comparison, because otherwise, we need to know what it's about.
Yeah, I completely understand. So you mean to like also mention the areas of the new science and the new technologies which are out in the world?
Yeah, compared to if we're 100 years or more ahead, how come? I mean, and what are they? What can they do? And what can't they do compared to us?
So you mean like what happens if somebody breaks their leg or breaks off a body part? Then how would people try to grow that back with a modern technology or something like that?
That's right. That's the one thing. And then the other one is what can a quantum bed offer that our software doesn't do, and vice versa? What is the big difference? Because everyone's on about quantum beds, and I'm not so sure. Well, I know they're not anywhere close to us, but I think we need to know the comparison. So both things: how do we regrow a limb, and secondly, quantum bed all about actually? Because many people are buying them and spending fortunes.
Yeah, I understand.
I actually went in one in Russia when I went to Russia. I've been in one already about 5 years ago. And I'm sure it was a prototype. I'm sure it was, nothing happened. Nothing
Yeah, I
changed
think
at
that
all.
many people are guessing and experimenting
Very
with
much
answers,
so.
but nobody really knows the depth and the the real answers behind this, because this is still a very big and unknown territory for the scientists as well.
A med bed is not necessarily quantum, right? So I just want Desi to clarify all that for us.
Okay, I will try to get her back to speak. Desiree! Desiree! Desi! Jane wants you to come back and talk about some questions.
Oh, okay, here I am.
I'm not ready yet to go.
Better get ready.
I can't. I'm still finishing
Okay.
this up.
Questions?
Desi,
She's here.
just saying thank you for coming back. I was just saying to Rita that
I can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Okay, good. If you wouldn't mind just clarifying and telling us that, what's different between our quantum software and a med bed or a quantum med bed, or what is the big deal about a med bed? What can it do? What can't it do compared to what our software can do?
Can you hear me?
Rita needs to turn down the music a bit.
Yeah, turn the music.
It will stop in 2-3 seconds.
2-3 seconds, you think? I don't think so.
Okay, then 10. You can talk.
You should have turned the sound off.
Rita, you need to just turn your sound down a bit.
Yeah, we have to.
Okay, it's over in a flash.
It won't be over. I can't find a place to turn off the sound.
Oh,
I thought we had that on the panel here.
so that's the one question. The other question is, your experience in regrowing limbs using our quantum software.
Well, I've had people who've regrown thumbs with the same fingerprint. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Now, basically, okay, what was the first question now?
The first question is this med bed, the quantum med bed, and all these claims that are getting made about it, and how does it compare to what we...
our science, their science is they're using relaxing music. Okay.
Yes.
Now, that's very nice, but what we are doing is we measure the actual trivector signature, the electrical signature frequencies of different items. And then we are doing an electronic, our technology is a much more advanced form of a quantum physics than what they're doing. Okay. They're using relaxing music, stimulating music, where we're using a specifically tuned music that is designed to produce the effects. Our device has a cybernetic loop where we treat, then we see how the person reacts, and then we alter the treatment. So it's kind of, let's see what would be the best analogy. Their device is, let's say that you were blind and you had a camera and you didn't have an autofocus camera. Now, if you want to take a picture of a building that was 25 feet away, somebody would have to tell you the building is so big. They would have to tell you the distance. And then you would make a setting on your camera to try to focus the lens. Okay?
Yeah.
imagine trying to focus the lens if you were blind. You wouldn't be able to, see? So somebody'd have to give you the date and you'd have to make a calculation. Where our system has a cybernetic loop, like the eyes. We see and we can focus the lens. Now, modern cameras today have an auto-focusing ability, which is what our system has. Our system has an auto-focusing ability. So our technology is a 50-year, superior to these technologies.
Well, Desi,
the problem is that since these people, the people who sell these things, they just can't even really understand this technology. They'll talk to me and it seems like I'm from the future,
So that quantum bed can't regrow a limb, even though they're saying.
I have no idea whether it can.
Okay, well, I went to that.
What I can tell you is I've not seen any
evidence. Thank you. Exactly. So I went to Russia that time. I went into a quantum bed, and you are 100% correct. Let me tell you what happened. I went there. They did some sort of assessment on me. I don't know. There was some computer software, and then I went and lay in this like a cylinder quantum bed, and they moved this very what can I say, very rustic kind of equipment over the various parts. I don't know, the chakra or up and down. There was like a railing above me, and then they moved this metal thing up and down, and then they played the music. They had in the room, there was this like foil all the way around the room, and then they played this music. And then in the beginning, I said to them, I want to know the before and after with my organs and everything, and they couldn't give it to me.
This was a Russian system.
In Moscow.
Yeah, the Russians are really famous for producing completely fraudulent devices.
Yes,
I'm not saying that all Russian systems are fraudulent. Every Russian system I've ever measured was fraudulent, and I've measured about 15 of them.
Just
okay.
But
we actually sat down, listened to their spiel. We've done measurements. We actually found there's long stories I could tell you, but the bottom line is that these things, they really don't work.
Well, it didn't work with me, and there was no significant difference at all. But I had to go there to see it because as many people listening in as well, we're getting things coming across our desk. Look at this med bed, look at that med bed, and I'm always thinking to myself, well, you know what? I have a med bed. I have a quantum med bed right here in front of me.
When I get a chance, I'm just settling here in America, and still waiting for some papers and etc. And sometime soon in the next year or so, I'll be developing something along these lines. I put together this before, and then, with the problems we had with, Mandalay and all this other stuff, these things are clearing up. And so I'm going to be doing it. But I'm going to have to sign off now because we have somebody giving us a ride.
The bottom line is we have all we need. You've given us all we need. And
I'm going to increase the technology, and I'm going to put it into a bed form. But that's going to be something I will be doing in the near future.
Anyway,
okay, I'm going to have to sign off. I'll let Rita close her computer because we have some people who are going to give us a ride, and the only time we can go is now.
No problem. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, Rita.
You're very welcome, Jane.
Thank you for sharing so much. And everybody is, I'm sure, just also overwhelmed as usual.
Okay. I'm looking forward with everybody to continue next week, and you will let us know what kind of topic would you like to cover.
Perfect.
For everybody. I wish everybody a nice week and a wonderful weekend, and thank you, Jane, for inviting us again.
No, thank you for being here. This is great. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, and everybody as well. Bye.
Ciao. Bye, Rita. You can stop sharing your screen.
I will try.
At the bottom. There we go. Thank you so much. Okay, well, everybody, I found that fascinating. I always love hearing, information firsthand from Professor Desire Dubounet, because she just simplifies it straight away. I don't know if there are any questions coming through. I just think, don't be sidetracked, don't be misled by a lot of the information that's coming through. We have all what we need. We have all that we need. And as I said to you, I even traveled to Russia twice, to be, to have high school science, physics, thrown at me. So anyway, whatever, we're all getting there. And this next month, I think the therapists really focus on the SAR codes and rebuilding remember the cell, the tissue, the organ, and let's look at the limbs. Desi alluded to rebuilding a thumb. So I don't know. The world's our oyster here, and let's see what cases come in and what we can do. All right. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's exactly an hour. So we'll see you all next week. And another new topic. Send us some topics through and have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.